What's up, everybody? How's it going? Red Zone DFS is Jim McIntosh here, uh, setting you up for Thursday night showdown between the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans. Um, we've had some pretty good luck on showdown lately here, so I think that we're in for a very good week. I love these matchups. Been a little bit one-sided. We've got a crazy quarterback thing going on. No Tyrod Taylor this week. Davis Mills will be getting the start. Houston does play at home. They've shown that they can at least play decently at home. Now they played the Jags at home, so it's not amazing, right? But yeah, I mean, I think we got an interesting slate. So we're going to kick it off. We're going to talk about the captain spot. I'm going to go into my top flex plays. And then I'm going to go into my I don't really have too many outright fades usually, but this week there's one person that there's just zero chance that I'm going to play. So first off, a little bit about my philosophy when we're talking about showdown. I don't do the 150 max. That's just not the type of player I am. I really like the $20 3 max. It limits the amount of people that are playing in the game. I really like just playing 3 or 4 lineups on Showdown and consolidating where I'm going to go. And if it hits, great. I'm going to hit pretty big. And if it doesn't, it's okay, right? But I think at least if you're focusing yourself. Now, there's certainly something to be said for you playing Showdown, doing 150 lineups, and trying to cover all your bases. And if you don't want to play a whole lot of money, you could play a 20 max, dollar entry. You could play a 150 max dollar entry, something like that. If you wanted to try and cover all that, all those options, I personally like consolidating a little bit. The 20 max only has about 1,500 entries, right? Between like 1,500 and 2,000. So those are the contests I like to play, and that's really what my strategy is going to be geared toward. And I think it's a lot of our listeners and readers as well. I don't think a lot of people that listen to us are playing, 150 max. It's 3 max at single entry, so a lot of this applies for that, right? So we're starting off. We have the man, Christian McCaffrey, on the Showdown Slate. Wow, his salary for the captain spot is crazy. $20,100. It's going to be really, really difficult to not play him. He's going to be crazy owned. So, I mean, if you're going to play him in the flex, he's going to be like 85, 90% owned, right? So playing him in the captain spot, he's probably still going to be in like the 35, 45% owned, which is really, really high for a captain on these showdown slates. Obviously, I think we have to get exposure to him. I like just putting him in the captain spot if I'm going to use McCaffrey. And then there's some cheaper plays, especially on the Houston side of the ball, that I can use to fill out my lineup and still make a decent lineup without having to worry about, like, man, is this really that good? But yeah, I think you have to go there. My second favorite captain, I like both of the starting wide receivers for the Panthers. So I like DJ Moore. He's a little bit more expensive, 15.9. He's fine. Guy was kind of quiet last week, and these showdown slates are really driven a lot by public perception of the week before. So DJ Moore smashed, right? He had a great main slate. He probably helped win a lot of people a lot of money. He helped me out, right? A lot of people are probably going to go back to him. I think it's fine. But I think in a situation like this, I think that DJ Moore is maybe not the best captain play. I like going down to Robby Anderson, who in the captain spot's only about 11,000. He's the big play guy, right? He's the guy who can get 5 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carolina is a team that is not, they're not the Bucks, right? They're building an identity. They're not going to stop scoring on Houston, right? Houston's won a game. They thought that, the Jags were just going to walk all over them or whatever, which is wild at home. Carolina, they're building something there. They're going to continue to score. So this whole narrative where you can't play pass catchers in a blowout game, I think that's totally BS. I think you can totally get away with playing all the pass catchers you want to. If we're looking over to the Houston side of the ball, I mean, I've been saying it every week now for 2 weeks. Just play Brandon Cooks every week. $15,000. Now with Nico Collins out, it's tough that Tyrod's not going to be in there, but they were still just forcing him the ball when Davis Mills came in the game last week, right? I love that situation for him. This offense is very consolidated. There's some receivers that I do like from the Houston side of the ball, but Brandon Cooks, I think, is a fantastic option in your captain spot. If we're going to pick between a quarterback to play at the captain spot, I would prefer the cheaper one in Davis Mills. He's, when you put him in the captain spot, he's 12,600 as opposed to Sam Darnold, who's 16,800. So you're getting a $4,200 savings by putting Davis Mills in there. They're going to obviously have to be throwing a lot. The Carolina Panthers could revert to running the ball quite a bit. So I don't know if that's necessarily, I definitely think when we get to the flex spot, both QBs are on play. But if I'm going to pick one of my QBs to play in the flex spot, I think Davis Mills is a great option. I think a really great build is going Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks, and then 4 Carolina Panthers. I think that's going to be, maybe a popular build. But I don't know if people will be putting Davis Mills in the captain spot, right? But that's one way. If you put him up there, you can put McCaffrey in a flex, and that's a way to kind of differentiate yourself a little bit, but still pile up all those points from McCaffrey. The last guy that I like to throw, there's 2 guys, if I'm going to go really, really cheap at captain. Terrence Marshall Jr., he's shown, he's going to be an absolute superstar. The problem is that he's not quite there yet. He's a rookie, but this is definitely one of those games where if they do get up a little bit, they're not going to take Sam Darnold out. But a guy like Robby Anderson, who has had injury problems in the past, he's definitely somebody that, the Carolina Panthers could say, hey, maybe let's just sit him down, right? Let's just sit him down and we'll go ahead and go from there. You put Terrence Marshall in the captain spot, it basically allows you to do anything that you want. And then the last guy that's just a real dart throw would be Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller went and signed with the Texans. They traded for him, I think, but he had a shoulder injury in preseason, and he was inactive the first 2 weeks. Now with Nico Collins out, he is the second best wide receiver talent on this team. You have Conley there, right, who's a little bit more expensive at $1,600. But I think Miller is one of those guys that in this game, he's probably going to play a lot out of the slot. I think he's a fantastic option if you're really just trying to punt captain and just jam in all the high-priced Carolina plays. I think that you can do something pretty interesting with that. Look, could he get you a 0? Absolutely. It's 100% possible. Happened with me with Alan Lazard on Monday night. Had a fantastic lineup. Everybody was hit. Everybody hit except my captain, Alan Lazard. It's okay. Those are the kind of chances you have to take in Showdown. You're not going to be able to cash every single lineup. But I was able to turn a pretty good profit Monday night doing some of the similar process that we're talking about here today. So going to flex plays, I said it before, I think both QBs in a single lineup is something that's absolutely in play. Once you throw both QBs in the lineup, you're left with 65-50. That's if Davis Mills is in the captain spot. Put both QBs in the lineup, you're left with 7,600. You could do so much. Even if you throw McCaffrey in there, that's a little. Looking, it's going to be hard to play both quarterbacks and McCaffrey. That's for damn sure. But we were talking about another guy, Robby Anderson, right? If we get Robby Anderson in the captain spot, things start to look pretty good. We can even put McCaffrey in there. Things are going to get a little dicey from there. But like I said, there's some good low price options that we can get to and we can go with, and you can make a lineup. It's not hard. It's possible, right? So, I think that's something that's really interesting. I think if there's going to be some cool builds you're going to be able to do with stuff like that. 2 quarterbacks, I think you got to get them in there. We talked about the receivers already. All the receivers are firmly in play. It's going to come down to a little bit of an ownership thing. I think Robby Anderson is going to be kind of the way that I would rather go because he's going to be lower owned. He's a little bit cheaper, and you can get him in there and still get like a McCaffrey or something like that if you want to, right? As far as, kind of going down the list, Marshall, again, is a guy that I like in there. I don't play defenses a lot just because it's going to take a lot for them to get, 15 to 25 points. But especially in a week like this where everyone's going to play the Panthers defense, right? It's a new quarterback, blah, blah, blah. It's a good way to get some good leverage on the field, especially if you're playing in a smaller field tournament or if you're playing in a larger field tournament. Just taking a stance of somebody that's going to be probably pretty highly owned, that's a defense, right? Like, I think that, Carolina played great at home versus Saints, right? They dominated that game. There's so much variance in defense where I just don't think they're going to dominate like that every single week, right? The Texans are going to come out with a game plan, probably a lot of quick passing to try and get the ball out of Davis Mill's hands pretty quickly. So I think that the Panthers are a good fade for me if we're just kind of going down the list and talking through this a little bit. The one running back that I probably would have interest from on the Texans side of the ball would not be Mark Ingram. Spoiler alert, he's my full fade. I don't understand this pricing whatsoever. 6,600 for a guy, he's getting volume, great. I want nothing to do with Mark Ingram. I would much rather play a Phillip Lindsay at 5,800. He's getting goal line touches. He's involved in the passing game. There's going to be a lot of that. You could even go with David Johnson. This is not a Mark Ingram game. They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to be throwing the ball, and that's not Mark Ingram's strong suit, right? So this is a Mark Ingram fade. Lindsay is for me. I prefer the pass catchers if we're talking about this. And he falls into that mid-range where unless you're building a little bit more of a balanced lineup and fading McCaffrey, you might be able to fit him in. But it's going to be tough, right? Terrence Marshall, I think at 4,000 is fantastic. I think either one of the kickers, you just got to see who it is that's going to be starting, whether it's going to be Zane Gonzalez or it's going to be Everly, right? It doesn't matter. They're both the same price. Just play whoever is the starting kicker for Carolina. If you want to play a kicker, it's 3,800. That's fine with me. The one guy that I was looking at would be Chuba Hubbard. He's McCaffrey's backup. Okay. The performances the last couple weeks, not great. Last week, though, when they were winning quite handily, he did get 8 carries. Now, it only netted him 1 point, but 8 carries for a guy who's 3,200 is not terrible. It's also not great. So he's definitely a maybe, probably leaning toward the edge of no. The next pass catcher I really like is Carolina's tight end. That's Ian Thomas. He's getting the targets. 1 catch each the last couple of weeks, but, at 2,000, we don't need a ton out of him. 3 catches for 40 yards and, he falls into the end zone and then all of a sudden we're really, really cooking right there at 2,000. So I think that's great. Danny Amendola, again, is not going to play, so no Nico Collins, no Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola has actually been playing, and had a pretty big part in the offense in week 1 and then week 2 until he got hurt. We've got Anthony Miller right there and Chris Conley. So 1,600 and 1,000, both guys that are, I think they're really, really cheap, right? And they're probably going to be in a fair amount of lineups, and I don't know how you could not have them in these lineups when they're going to be the wide receiver 2 and 3 this week. I mean, Anthony Miller didn't play the first 2 weeks, but he dislocated his shoulder in the first preseason game. So, look, people were making a lot of, he went there and he can't do this and he can't do that. I think he's fine. I mean, I think he separated his shoulder 5 weeks ago. The guy needs some time to heal, right? So he's a guy that I really like at 1,000. And then if you're going down I think that's about as far as I'm going down this week. I have to take a look and see if Andre Roberts, who's a little bit cheaper, he had one catch for 35 yards last week. He's at 600. He might be involved. That's really as far as I think I want to go. So again, I think this is going to be a Carolina heavy build that you want to do 4-2. If you really, really want to get different, you could try and get like a 3-3 real balance build. So 3 players from each team, and then see kind of where that takes you. But I'm going to have an article. It'll be out tomorrow with a real brief overview of some of this stuff. And then I'll probably have some updates on Twitter. So follow me at JJ McIntosh. And good luck, guys. I think this is going to be a fantastic showdown slate. Build a tight core, believe in that core, tell yourself how the game is going to go, and paint a story around that and use that to make your player pool. It's really that simple. And don't pick good tournaments to play in too. If you're not going to play 150 lineups, don't put 3 lineups into a tournament that has 150 max. Go find a 3 max, go find a single entry. There's some great single entry tournaments out there. So tournament selection is really key, I think, on Showdown slates. And then, check out the article, do a little bit of research yourself. And I think you guys will all, hopefully everybody makes some money. So, good luck this week. Follow along on Twitter at RedZoneDFS and at JJ McIntosh. Thanks, everybody.